Imagine this. You're under a vast, star-filled desert sky. There's just one single tent standing there, witnessing something profound, something reality-altering. We're about to explore how a man named Abram went from reading destiny in the stars to speaking directly with the one who made them. This, my friends, is the story of how a single act didn't just change his name to Abraham, it literally rewired reality itself.
Our whole journey tonight really kicks off with this really enigmatic statement from the Zohar. Abram cannot father, but Abraham can. Now, at first glance, you might think, okay, simple. It's about him being able to have a child, Isaac. But the ancient mystics tell us, oh no, it's about so much more than that. It's about the ability to father an entirely new spiritual reality, to birth a new kind of connection between us and the divine. So what was holding Abram back? And what changed that allowed Abraham to succeed? That's the real mystery we're diving into.
To really get this transformation, we have to start with Abram's initial state. And you have to understand, he wasn't just some ordinary guy. He was a master astrologer, a true sage. He could read the intricate workings of the cosmos like a book. So he was deeply connected, for sure, but it was a connection seen through a veil, through a kind of filter.
This was the world Abram lived in. This astrological prophecy, it wasn't like reading your daily horoscope. It was a deep, profound understanding of the universe's operating system. He could read the code, see the cause and effect written in the heavens. But, and this is the key, that was his limitation. He was an expert user, but he didn't have administrator access. He was reading a reflection of the divine will, not seeing the source itself.
This right here, this slide just lays out the before and after perfectly. On one side, you have Abram. His prophecy is filtered, coming through what the mystics call the lower channels of nature. He's brilliantly reading the map, but on the other side, you have Abraham. His prophecy is direct, unified, coming through the higher channels. He's not just reading the map anymore. He is standing in the very presence of the king. It's this huge shift from an indirect vision to a direct, face-to-face, apani melpanium, revelation. So what on earth could bridge a gap that massive?
Well, the bridge, the catalyst for this absolutely monumental shift, was the covenant. We are about to explore the Brit Milah, the covenant of circumcision. Not as just some ritual, but as a divine invitation for a fundamental system upgrade.
And this is the point we really need to get. A Brit, a covenant, in this whole mystical framework. It's not just a contract signed with words. It's a physical act that brings about a spiritual change. It's a hardware modification that literally alters your capacity to receive and process divine energy. It marks the shift from being this passive observer of a pre-written destiny to becoming an active partner with the divine.
This tech analogy is just perfect. Think about it. Abram's soul is like a computer trying to connect to a divine internet, but there's a powerful firewall in the way. The signal's there, but the bandwidth is low, the connection is laggy, and access is super restricted. So what's the protocol to fix this? The Brit Milah. It's this physical act that works like an authentication key, completely reconfiguring the spiritual hardware. And the result? Root access. The firewall comes crashing down, and a secure, high-bandwidth, direct connection is established. We're talking pure, unadulterated direct communication.
Okay, so now we're going to roll up our sleeves and get into the deep mechanics of this cosmic engineering. To really truly understand what happened, we have to look at the Sephirot. These are the fundamental channels of divine energy that structure all of creation. This is where the actual rewiring took place.
First up, we have the Sephirah of Yesod, which means foundation. The easiest way to think of Yesod is as the main pipeline, the final conduit that gathers up all the divine energies from the higher realms and channels them down into our physical world. The sources are crystal clear on this. Yesod is the spiritual location of the covenant, the Brit. It's the primary interface between the world above and the world we live in.
So that energy from Yesod, it has to flow somewhere, right? It flows into Malchut, the kingdom. Malchut is our reality. It's the physical world, the ultimate bucket, if you will, that receives the divine flow. It's also deeply connected to the Shekinah, the indwelling divine presence. So for creation to work perfectly, for revelation to be clear, that connection between the pipeline, Yesod, and the receiving vessel, Malchut, has to be absolutely perfect.
And right here, this was the problem. The sources describe this spiritual husk, a kind of blockage known as the Orla, which corresponds to the physical foreskin. This husk was acting like an insulator, preventing a full, seamless connection between Yesod and Malchut. It was creating signal interference, a major degradation in the divine flow. And that is exactly why Abram's revelation was filtered, indirect, and incomplete. Now, when you finally unify Yesod and Malchut, it allows for the full expression of Tiferet, which means beauty or harmony. Tiferet is the great harmonizer in the system. It balances the expansive energy of loving-kindness, or chesed, with the constricting energy of severity, or gevura. So by removing that blockage and unifying those lower channels, the harmonious, beautiful energy of Tiferet could finally flow without any interference, bringing this incredible new balance to Abraham's perception, and really to the whole world.
And this number is so significant. The circumcision is done on the 8th day. Now, why 8? Well, the number 7 represents the complete cycle of nature, right? The physical world created in 7 days. To do something on the 8th day is to perform an act that goes beyond nature. It elevates the physical into a supernatural state of being. It literally breaks the deterministic cycle of the stars that had Abram bound.
And the power of this one act just keeps getting amplified. The sources teach that this single covenant is actually linked to 13 distinct covenants. Now, that is not an arbitrary number. It corresponds directly to the 13 attributes of divine mercy, which is considered the highest level of divine compassion you can access. So get this. By performing one physical act, Abraham wasn't just fixing a connection, he was plugging directly into the source code of infinite mercy. What we have here is a process of pure spiritual alchemy, and it's laid out so beautifully in the Zohar. It all starts with the act itself, symbolized by red, the color of blood, which corresponds to deen, or judgment. This act of severity then serves as a purifying fire that completely consumes the husk, the orla. And what's revealed underneath? White, a symbol of purity, corresponding to rachamim, or mercy. So an act that seems to be rooted in severity is totally transformed, and it reveals its complete opposite. Judgment becomes the very vehicle for uncovering this infinite wellspring of mercy. It's just incredible. Okay, so the spiritual hardware has been upgraded, the channels are rewired, and the entire system reboots. And this isn't just some internal change. Abram's very identity is literally rewritten, and his perception of the world is altered forever. You can see the change encoded right there in his name. Abram becomes Abraham with the addition of the letter He. Now the He is the letter from God's most sacred name. It's the letter of creation itself. And, Kabbalistically, it represents the Sephirah of Malchut, the Shekinah, the divine presence. So by integrating the He into his name, the divine presence is now woven into his very being. He's no longer just Abram, exalted father. He is Abraham, a father whose very essence is now unified with the divine. And the proof of the pudding, as they say, is in the text that comes immediately after the circumcision. And the Lord appeared to him. Look at that language. It's direct. It's unmediated presence. It's not a dream, it's not a voice, it's not a vision in the stars, it's a full-blown, face-to-face appearance. This is the ultimate result of the upgrade, direct perception of the divine.
So, let's just recap the transformation here. The firewall of the orla, that spiritual husk, has been totally removed. The channels of Yesod and Malchut are now perfectly unified, allowing that harmonious energy of Tiferet to flow. Abram no longer needs to see God through the filtered lens of astrology. The connection is now direct. It's pure. It's unmediated. You see? Abram cannot father this new reality, but Abraham, oh, he absolutely can.
Okay, so what does this ancient story of cosmic engineering actually mean for us today? The beauty of these teachings is that they are absolutely timeless templates. So let's try to translate this into 2 modern languages to really get how relevant it is.
All right, for anyone who loves video games, think of it like this. You're playing as the character Abram. You get a new main story quest, Establish Direct Connection. To complete it, you have to perform a very specific action, the Brit Milah ritual. And look at the rewards. First, you get a permanent character name change to Abraham. Awesome. Second, you unlock an entirely new level of reality, a whole new dimension of the game world. And finally, you gain a new passive ability, Direct Divine Sight, which lets you perceive the game's source code in a way you never could before. It's a complete spiritual level up.
Now, for all the engineers and systems thinkers out there, your initial system state is one of asynchronous spiritual channels, Yesod and Malchut, and that's resulting in high signal degradation. The cause? A hardware obstruction, the orla. The prescribed procedure is a hardware modification, the Brit Milah, specifically designed to remove this obstruction. The end result is perfect channel synchronization. You've established a lossless, high-bandwidth data flow, which is exactly what divine revelation is, between the transcendent upper worlds and our physical lower world.
It's the ultimate system optimization for clarity and connection.
And this, really, brings us to the final and most crucial point. This whole story is a map. The covenant removed a very specific physical and spiritual veil for Abraham, letting him see reality with a brand new clarity. And that leads to a really powerful question for every single one of us. What are the veils in our own lives? What are our blockages, our habits, our mindsets, our own personal or law that filter our perception and prevent a more direct, more meaningful connection to the deeper reality that is all around us all the time?
Thank you for joining us for this complete journey through the Pardes. We really hope these ancient truths help you and your family improve your own dimensions this week. If you enjoyed this full chapter deep dive, please like, subscribe, and share which part of the journey touched your soul in the comments. We'll see you in the next chapter.